1. We're checking out this interesting 1971 Chevy El Camino I found on Craigslist. Let me give you the honest scoop on this classic utility coupe. First off, at $15,000, we're looking at a driver-quality El Camino that's showing its age, but still has a lot going for it. It's rocking the classic 350 V8 paired with a 350 automatic transmission. A reliable powertrain combo that the seller says runs great. The long tube headers probably give it a nice rumble too. The odometer shows 60K miles, but it has rolled over, so we're looking at 160K plus actual miles here. Let's be real about that. The black paint isn't perfect, and the seller's straight up about it needing some bodywork here and there. But hey, all the trim pieces are present, which is actually pretty rare for a 50-year-old vehicle. Inside, the interior is holding up well with no rips. That's a big plus. The glass is good, tires are good, and the brakes are working properly. One downside is the AC isn't working, though it was originally a factory AC car. What I really appreciate is that the car has a clean title and current registration tags, so there's no paperwork headache to deal with. While it's not a show car, it seems like a solid driver that you could either fix up or just enjoy as is with its battle scars and all. For 15 grand, you're getting a classic El Camino that's ready to drive and enjoy. Sure, it needs some TLC in places, but finding one with all its trim and a decent interior isn't easy these days. What do you all think about this one? 2. We're looking at a piece of American truck history, a 1965 Chevy C20 long bed that's popped up for $5,500. Let me be straight with you about this old workhorse. Look, this isn't a restored show truck, and it's definitely showing its age. The seller's being pretty upfront about its condition. We're dealing with a 292 straight-six engine that runs, but let's be honest, it needs some attention. The carburetor is crying out for a rebuild, and that's something you'll want to address pretty quickly. It's got the classic 3-on-the-tree manual transmission, which is a cool piece of automotive history that you don't see much anymore. The odometer's rolled over, so we're talking about some serious miles on this vintage hauler. At least it's got a clean title, which is always good news for a vehicle this old. For $5,500, you're getting a project truck that's still roadworthy. It's registered and running, which means you can actually use it while you fix it up. These C20s were built like tanks, and this one's survived nearly 60 years, which says something about their durability. If you're looking for a classic long bed truck to restore or just a vintage work truck with character, this might be worth checking out. Just remember, you're buying a project, not a finished product. The price reflects that, and honestly, finding a running 65 C20 at this price point isn't too common these days. 3. We're checking out a seriously clean 1972 Chevy C10 that's caught my attention. Let me tell you why this $17,500 long bed pickup deserves a closer look. This C10 appears to be one of the good ones, folks. We're talking about an original 81,000 mile truck with a 350 V8 and TH350 automatic transmission combo, a bulletproof drivetrain that's proven itself over decades. What really stands out here is the seller's claim of no rust, which is pretty rare for a 50-year-old truck. The list of upgrades is impressive and shows that someone's put some real thought and money into this truck. They've basically renewed the entire braking system with front discs and fresh rear drums. The cooling system's been addressed with a new radiator, and they've upgraded the fuel system from front to back. New tank, electric pump, filters, and regulator. Performance-wise, they've added some nice touches. An Edelbrock intake and carb, MSD 6AL ignition, long tube headers, and Flowmaster exhaust. So this C10 should sound and run great. The front suspension's been upgraded too, which should make it drive better than stock. The chrome bumpers add some shine, and those like-new tires mean you won't have to worry about rubber for a while. Even the heater core's been replaced, which is a job nobody wants to do twice. At $17,500, or best offer, you're looking at a well-sorted classic truck that's had all the major mechanical issues addressed. It's not cheap, but considering the work done and the current classic truck market, it's in the ballpark for a clean, well-maintained C10 with desirable upgrades. 4. We're diving into this 1966 Chevy C10 that's listed for $19,900, and I'm going to give you the straight scoop on this classic short bed with the desirable big back window. Let's start with the honest truth. This truck has some rust issues in the typical trouble spots. The sellers being upfront about it. Rockers, cab corners, lower kick panels, and door bottoms all need attention. But here's the good news. The floors and underside are solid, which is actually a big deal for these old trucks. Under the hood, there's a rebuilt 327 engine paired with a 700 R4 automatic transmission. That's a great combo that gives you both power and highway-friendly overdrive. The truck's been upgraded with some nice modern touches. CPP power steering, power disc brakes, converted to 5-on-5, and dropped spindles with dropped coils for a better stance. Some fresh additions include a Flowmaster exhaust system, new OEM floor mat, newer bedwood, which can be expensive, and chrome bumpers front and rear. The dash is in fantastic shape, and importantly, there are no hack jobs with speaker holes in the doors. That's a big plus for potential restoration. The glass is all good, windows work as they should, and it's got new tires and a new stereo. Remember, this is a running and driving 59-year-old truck, which counts for something. At $19,900, you're looking at a driver-quality C10 with some nice upgrades, but also some bodywork in its future. The big back window feature is desirable, and while it needs some rust repair, it's not a total rust bucket, just honest wear for its age. 5. We're looking at a 1966 Chevy short bed fleetside that's caught my eye at $7,900, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we're dealing with here. This is a true California truck with original black plates, which is actually pretty cool because it means it's likely spent its life avoiding harsh weather and road salt. The seller's being refreshingly honest. It's solid, but not perfect, and I appreciate that straightforward approach. Under the hood, you've got the reliable inline-6 paired with a 3-on-the-tree manual transmission, a simple, sturdy combination that these trucks were known for. With 134,000 miles showing, it's got some life experience, but that's not terrible for a 57-year-old truck. The sellers put in a new battery and fuel pump, which takes care of some basic maintenance. However, they're upfront about recommending a thorough going through before any long-distance driving, which is just good, honest advice for any vintage vehicle purchase. At $7,900, you're looking at what appears to be a driver-quality classic truck. It's not a showpiece, but it could be a great starting point for either a restoration project or just a cool vintage daily driver. The price seems reasonable for a solid California truck, especially considering how these C10s have been climbing in value. What's particularly appealing here is that you're getting an original-style truck that runs and drives, without dealing with rust issues that typically plague these vehicles in other parts of the country. 6. We're checking out a 1977 Chevy K20 Custom Deluxe that's listed for $3,000, and I'm going to give you the real story on this old workhorse. Let's be honest right up front. This is a mountain truck with some battle scars and rust to prove it. The seller's not trying to hide anything here, which I really appreciate. But there are some good points worth noting. It's got the original small block 400 with 86,000 miles, and they say it runs good. The 4x4 system is still working great, which is pretty impressive for a 46-year-old truck. What's really cool is the documentation. They've got paperwork tracking this K20's history all the way back to June 1977. That kind of paperwork trail is rare for these old trucks and tells you it was cared for enough to keep the records. The long box configuration makes it a proper work truck, and while the tires are described as solid but dated, at least they're holding air. The frame being solid is a big plus, especially considering its mountain life. Remember, a solid frame means you've got good bones to work with, even if the body's showing its age. For $3,000, and they're open to offers, you're looking at a running, driving piece of American truck history that needs some TLC. It's not going to win any beauty contests, but these K20s were built to work, not to look pretty. With a clean Washington title, at least the paperwork side is straightforward. This could be a great project truck for someone who wants to either restore it or just keep it as a reliable work truck. The price seems fair for what you're getting. A functioning 4x4 with a strong engine and solid documentation. 7. We're looking at a 1983 Ford F254 X4 that's listed for $7,500. And I'm going to give you the straight scoop on this old blue oval workhorse. Let's be real here. The seller's description is pretty bare bones, but there are some important things to note. First off, the odometer situation is a bit murky. It's both broken and has rolled over, so those 83,000 miles shown? Take that with a grain of salt. We're likely looking at well over 183,000 miles here. On the positive side, the truck runs well enough to have passed smog last year, in what I'm assuming is a smog-strict state, which is actually a decent achievement for a 40-year-old vehicle. The seller mentions it's got good tires, which is always a plus since a set of proper rubber for these big trucks isn't cheap. Now, they mention it needs some minor work, but don't specify what kind of work. At this age, minor work could mean anything from basic maintenance to more significant repairs. So you'd definitely want to check that out in person. At $7,500, you're looking at a fairly high asking price for an 83 F250, especially considering the vague description and unknown actual mileage. These old Ford trucks are tough as nails, but you'll want to thoroughly inspect it and maybe negotiate that price depending on what those minor issues turn out to be. 8. We're checking out something pretty special, a 1970 Chevy CST custom sport truck that's asking $16,500. And this one's got an interesting story to tell. What makes this truck particularly intriguing is that it's reportedly a one-owner, family-owned vehicle since new. That's incredibly rare for a 53-year-old truck. It's got its matching numbers 350 V8 paired with a 350 turbo automatic transmission, which is the desirable powertrain combo for these trucks. This CST is fully loaded with some nice factory options: power steering, air conditioning, and the Deluxe interior with bucket seats and console. That's a pretty luxurious setup for a 1970 pickup. The original tachometer is still there, and it's wearing its original paint, which really adds to its authenticity and collector value. What's really cool about this truck is that it's unmolested, meaning it hasn't been modified or changed from its original configuration. The upper and lower chrome strip moldings are still present, which is often missing on these old trucks. It's a long bed model, and according to the seller, it runs and drives. At $16,500, we're in collector territory pricing, but for a loaded CST with original paint and one family ownership, it might be worth it to the right buyer. These CST models were the luxury trim level of their day, and finding one that hasn't been modified or restored is getting harder. 9. Let me tell you about this interesting 1978 Chevy K10 I found on Craigslist. Let's be real about what we're looking at here. This K10 has an interesting mix of potential and problems. It's running an 84 front clip, which gives it a slightly more modern look. The seller did some serious work back in 2021 with a frame-off rebuild, which is definitely a big plus. They've rebuilt both the transmission and the engine, which has been bored .030 over and features a sturdy 4-bolt main. The NP203 transfer case is a solid piece of equipment for a 4x4 setup. But let's be honest, despite the excellent condition listing, this truck needs some love. It's got multiple issues: an oil leak, AC system leaks, even with a new compressor, a broken hood latch, and valve stem seals that need replacing. The engine's smoking a bit, which matches up with those valve seal issues. The headliner is sagging too. At $16,500, you're looking at a truck that's had some serious mechanical rebuilding, but still needs work. The 10,000 miles shown are likely since the rebuild. While it's got some nice features like power windows and heat, I'd call this more of a project truck with good bones rather than an excellent condition vehicle. 10. We're looking at a pretty interesting 1978 Chevy C20, and I've got to say, this one caught my attention for good reasons. Let's talk about what we're seeing here. It's a classic square body C20 with an asking price of $7,200, and honestly, in today's market, that's worth a closer look. Being an Arizona truck is a huge plus. We're talking about a rust-free body, which is like finding gold when it comes to these old Chevys. The body is straight, and all the glass is good, which saves you from immediate headaches. The mechanical side is where this truck really shines. It's running a 350 V8 with only 5,200 miles on a rebuild, and the Turbo 400 transmission was rebuilt just 3,000 miles ago. These are solid, proven combinations that, when properly rebuilt, can run forever. The seller's taking care of the basics too: new seat cover, fresh battery, recent tune-up and oil change. Even the tires are matching with 90% tread left. For $7,200, you're getting a clean title square body with good mechanicals and no rust. That's actually pretty fair in today's market. It's ready to drive, which means you could enjoy it while gradually making improvements. Unlike many project trucks, this one doesn't seem to be hiding any major issues, and the seller's being straightforward about its condition. 11. Let's talk about this 1973 Ford F-250 that's popped up for $7,000. I'm going to keep it real with you about this classic workhorse. This is a proper 3/4-ton truck from the era when trucks were built simple and tough. We're looking at a V8 with an automatic transmission, a classic combo that these old Fords were known for. The seller mentions it has power steering and power brakes, which are nice conveniences for a truck of this vintage. Now let's be honest about a few things. The odometer's broken, showing 101,010 miles. So we really don't know the true mileage here. It's currently on non-op status, which means it hasn't been registered for road use, though there are no back fees to worry about. Being a 73, it's exempt from smog requirements, which is definitely a plus in states like California. The seller says it drives and runs good, but at this price point and age, you should expect some typical old truck issues. These old Fords are generally pretty straightforward to work on, which is part of their appeal. For $7,000, you're looking at a classic F-250 that could be either a decent driver or a good starting point for a restoration, depending on your plans. Just remember, you'll need to sort out the registration to get it back on the road. These trucks are getting harder to find in original condition, but make sure to check for rust in the usual spots and verify the mechanical condition before pulling the trigger. 12. Let's dive into this interesting 1969 GMC C10 that's up for grabs at $10,500. This is a pretty cool long bed setup that's got some tasteful modifications worth talking about. What makes this one stand out is that it's running the original straight-six engine paired with a turbo 350 automatic transmission, a combination that's becoming increasingly rare to find these days. The seller's running it as a daily driver, which tells us it's a reliable setup. Now let's talk about the modifications, because they're pretty well thought out. The truck's been professionally lowered and features classic performance products, CCP, tubular control arms. That's quality stuff right there. They've also done a C-notch in the rear, which is essential for a proper lowering job, and added disc brakes for better stopping power. These aren't cheap corner-cutting mods. They're proper upgrades that improve both the look and functionality. At 90,000 miles on the odometer, and with the seller mentioning lots of new parts, this seems like a solid driver-quality classic. The straight-six might not be as glamorous as a V8, but these engines are known for their reliability and decent fuel economy. Plus, they're usually plenty strong for regular use. For $10,500, you're getting a classic truck that's been thoughtfully modified and actually driven regularly, which often means issues have been sorted out rather than left to sit. It's not a show queen, but it appears to be a solid, usable classic that you could enjoy while gradually improving. 13. We're looking at something really special, a 1959 Chevrolet Apache that's got me genuinely excited to talk about. This isn't just any Apache. We're looking at a short bed fleetside, which is a rare bird in itself. At $28,500, let me tell you why this truck deserves attention. First off, it's wearing its original paint and sheet metal, and coming from Hays, Kansas, it's managed to escape the rust that usually plagues these classics. That's huge for collectors and enthusiasts alike. Now here's where it gets really interesting. While it's got the original 235 straight-six, which is a bulletproof engine, someone's made a brilliant upgrade by fitting a Tremec TKO 600 5-speed transmission with a new clutch. This is a seriously smart modification that transforms this classic into a legitimate highway cruiser, comfortable at 65 miles per hour. That's the kind of upgrade that maintains the truck's character while adding modern usability. The seller's honest about the truck having some small dings and scratches, but on a truck of this age, that's just part of its story, what collectors often call patina. The odometer's rolled over, but that's expected for a 64-year-old vehicle. At $28,500, you're buying a piece of automotive history that's been thoughtfully upgraded for modern use. The combination of original paint, rust-free body, and that modern transmission makes this a unique find. It's not a perfect show truck, but it's something arguably better. A genuine original Apache that you can actually drive and enjoy while potentially appreciating in value. 14. We're looking at something pretty special. A true time capsule 1985 Chevy S10 Blazer that's asking $12,850. Let me tell you why this one's worth talking about. This is a legitimate one-owner barn find with original everything. We're talking original paint in that classic factory two-tone original interior, and even the original window sticker from John Lucas Chevrolet in Staten, Oregon. With just 65,184 actual miles, this is about as close as you'll get to a 1985 S10 Blazer time machine. Under the hood, you've got the 2.8L V6 paired with an automatic transmission. Not the most powerful setup, but it's original and complete. What's really impressive is the list of factory features: AC, tilt wheel, cruise control, factory alloy wheels, cloth seats, roof rack, and even the original cassette player is still in there. Finding one with all these original components intact is increasingly rare. The fact that it's been garaged its whole life is evident. These first-gen S10 Blazers usually suffered from rust and sun damage, but being a Pacific Northwest truck kept inside, this one appears to have escaped that fate. At $12,850, you're paying for preservation and originality. While that might seem steep for an 85 S10, the market for well-preserved original 80s vehicles is strong right now, and this one checks all the right boxes. One owner, documented history, all original, and low miles. 15. We're checking out something pretty interesting on Craigslist. A 1977 Ford F7000 dump truck that's going for $3,500. Let me tell you, for that price, this is actually quite intriguing. This beast is packing a Caterpillar diesel V8 with just 44,000 original miles, which is surprisingly low for a truck of this age and class. The seller's being upfront about everything, which I really appreciate. The Cat diesel apparently starts up and runs strong. These engines are known for their reliability and longevity, so that's definitely a plus. Now let's be real here. It's not perfect. The seller's honest about a bent tie rod on the right side, which needs to be fixed. But hey, for a 46-year-old work truck, that's a pretty straightforward repair for someone who knows what they're doing. It comes with a serious 12,000 pound winch, which adds some real utility value. The truck's got a clean title, manual transmission, which is what you want in these old workhorses, and it's set up as a dump truck, perfect for farm work or any heavy-duty hauling. No current tags, but that's not unusual for a vehicle like this. For $3,500, if you're in the market for a classic work truck and don't mind tackling that tie rod issue, this could be a solid buy. These old Ford F7000s were built like tanks, and with that Cat diesel engine, you're looking at something that could still put in plenty of workdays ahead. Just make sure you're ready for the size and maintenance that comes with a commercial-grade truck from this era. 16. We're taking a closer look at a classic beauty, a 1977 Chevrolet Silverado C20 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This two-wheel drive pickup is loaded with factory options and ready to hit the road. The seller is asking $11,500, and from what I can see, it seems like a fair price for this well-maintained truck. Now, let's dive into the details. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 454 cubic inch V8 engine, paired with an automatic transmission. The seller has made some nice upgrades, including headers, an Edelbrock carburetor, and an upgraded exhaust system. These additions not only enhance the truck's performance, but also give it a sweet, throaty sound. The seller mentions that the truck has new tires, which is always a plus. You won't have to worry about replacing them anytime soon. The air conditioning is also working, making this Silverado a comfortable ride even on hot summer days. With 108,000 miles on the odometer, this truck has seen some action, but the seller assures us that it's in excellent condition. They mention that it's not perfect, but hey, what vehicle is after 45 years? The important thing is that it's a solid, great driving truck that's ready for its next adventure. The seller also points out that this Silverado is a far cry from the rusted-out, no-motor, no-transmission trucks you might find listed for unreasonable prices. It's clear that they've taken good care of this classic, and it shows. 17. We're checking out a classic workhorse, a 1973 GMC C35 camper special truck that's currently listed on Craigslist for $13,000. This vintage beauty is ready to hit the road and take on your next adventure. First things first, let's talk about the mechanical aspects. The seller mentions that this C35 runs and drives like a solid truck should. That's always a good sign, especially when dealing with a vehicle that's nearly 50 years old. The heart of this beast is a 454 cubic inch Chevrolet big block engine, which is known for its power and reliability. Paired with an automatic transmission, this combo should make for a smooth and enjoyable driving experience. Now let's move on to some of the recent upgrades. The seller has installed brand new tires, ensuring that you'll have plenty of traction and a comfortable ride. They've also replaced the battery, so you won't have to worry about any starting issues. The AC compressor, electric radiator fan, and fuel pump have all been recently replaced as well, which shows that the seller has put some time and effort into maintaining this truck. One of the best things about this GMC C35 is that it comes with a clean title and doesn't require a smog check. That's a big plus, especially if you're in an area with strict emissions regulations. The seller also mentions that the tag is up to date, so you shouldn't have any issues with registration. 18. We've got a real treat for you, a genuine barn find from the heart of Arizona. This 1972 Ford F-250 Ranger XLT Camper Special is a true gem, and it's looking for a new home in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. First off, let's talk about the rarity of this truck. It comes with a factory-installed Onan electric generator, which was part of the Power Pack option. This feature alone makes this F-250 stand out from the crowd and adds to its overall value. Now let's dive into the specs. This beauty is powered by a 390 V8 engine, which was rebuilt at 54,000 miles. The seller has all the service records, including the original sales slip from the dealership, proving that this truck has been well maintained throughout its life. With only 104,000 original miles on the odometer, this F-250 has plenty of life left in it. The transmission is an automatic, making it easy to drive, and the truck comes equipped with power steering and power brakes, ensuring a smooth and comfortable ride. The rear axle is a heavy-duty Dana 60 with a 3.54 5.2M ratio and a full float design, which means this truck can handle some serious hauling and towing. One of the most impressive aspects of this F-250 is its condition. Being a one-owner Arizona truck, it's 99% rust-free, which is a rare find for a vehicle of this age. The body is straight with a nice patina scheme that adds to its vintage charm. The interior is also in good shape, making it a comfortable place to spend time on the road. 19. We're taking a closer look at a 1971 Chevrolet C10 short bed pickup truck that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist. The seller is asking $13,500, and from what I can gather, it seems like a fair price for a truck with this kind of potential. Under the hood, you'll find a 350 cubic inch V8 engine, which is paired with a TH350 automatic transmission. This combination should provide plenty of power and smooth shifting for cruising down the highway or tackling some light hauling tasks. The seller also mentions that the truck has a 12-bolt positraction rear end, which is a desirable feature for those who want a bit more traction and performance. The seller notes that this is an original short bed truck, not a cut-down version, which adds to its value and authenticity. It's equipped with power steering and brakes, making it easier to maneuver and stop than some of its more bare-bones counterparts. According to the seller, the truck runs and drives excellent, which is always a good sign. They also mention that all the lights and gauges are in working order, so you shouldn't have to worry about any electrical gremlins. Inside, the truck has been fitted with new seats and a console, which should make for a more comfortable driving experience. However, it's important to note that the seller does mention some rust issues. There's rust in the floorboards and bubbles on the bottom of the doors and rockers. While this is not uncommon for a truck of this age, it's something to keep in mind when considering the overall value of the vehicle. 20. We've got a real treat for you. A 1977 Ford F-250 that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $14,500. And let me tell you, it's worth every penny. Now I know what you might be thinking. A truck from the 70s? Is it even in good condition? Well, according to the seller, this F250 is in excellent shape. It's got a clean title, and get this, only 44,000 miles on the odometer. That's practically nothing for a truck of this age. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 467.5 V8 engine that purrs like a kitten. And with an automatic transmission, driving this baby is a breeze. The seller mentions that the truck runs and drives like a champ, with no issues whatsoever. It's been well maintained over the years, so you can trust that it's in top-notch condition. One of the coolest things about this F250 is its stunning orange paint job. It's a real head-turner and is sure to make you stand out on the road. Plus, it's currently registered until the end of 2025, so you won't have to worry about any paperwork for a while. The seller also mentions that they're the second owner of this truck, which is a good sign. It means that the previous owner likely took good care of it, and now you have the chance to own a piece of automotive history. All in all, this 1977 Ford F250 is a real gem. It's got low mileage, a powerful engine, and a beautiful color scheme. If you're in the market for a vintage truck that's been well maintained and is ready to hit the road, this might just be the one for you. Don't miss out on this opportunity to own a classic piece of American machinery.